Goody 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 everyone! This is Dayhawk bringing to you episode 47 of Shaman King 2021. So this episode is level 1 of this gauntlet match because towards the end of this episode it just felt like, okay, so we had to go through each member of the patch and we had to go through like how many levels, because it seems like that we had the Yoh Yohs will have to face every member in their dominion, aka plants. And I'm like, well, all right. It's starting to feel like a video game because Abasan said after the whole warm up is that they have at least 10 to 15 hours to go through every plant in order to reach the altar of the king where How is. And according to Abasan, that apparently How is doing the same thing. Really? That going through each member is also part of the ritual. That part, I'm like, I mean, what's the point of going through every member if you already declare Shaman King? That part, it didn't make sense to me because I assumed that he has a clean a clean getaway through to the altar, but that's according to a Basan, and I personally don't agree with it because it's like, okay, so I'm declared champion, and I still had to go through these people in order to become official. You know, it's starting to feel more like Pokemon, where you just won the league, but you haven't become champion yet. In order to do so, you have to go through the Elite Four in order to become the ideal champion of your region. So this episode feels like a Pokemon game after you won the league. This is just I don't know. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just want to get that out of the way because I have it in my head and just pondering and thinking about it. So the whole match with Silva was not an official match against Silva at all. It's just more of a warm-up match than anything else. And you assume that Yoh kind of defeated Silva, but no, it wasn't the case. And so you see, Silva taking a shot at Yoh. You see that Yoh takes a direct hit to Silva, but then all of a sudden Silva decides to go attack Apacho, but luckily Yoh blocked it. And Yoh even realized, wait, you changed. What's going on, Silva? And then these two patches comes in and say, hey, that's our doing. We destroyed the old Silva, and what you're looking at is the new Silva dedicated to protecting the Great Spirit and, of course, the Shaman King. And for me, I assume, this is gonna be 3 on how many people? And luckily it wasn't the case. They even said, hey, no, we're not gonna interfere. We're not. You're gonna face us once you reach our area. We just like pointed things out where, okay, this is our programming. This is new Silva. Old Silva is broken. It's destroyed. You have to go through every level to you get to the altar, and we'll see you when we see ya, Johnny. And so Silva leaves. So all 3 members leave, And then that's when, like I said in the very beginning, Abasan is telling everybody that we have at least 10 to 15 hours to not only defeat every single member, uh, and then go reach How. So they need, I don't know, 15 hours seems like a lot, but when you're dealing with the patch with their OP furyoku oversouls, ooh, they will need a whole lot more hours, a whole lot, especially when along the way they will have to keep resurrecting people, as they go deep to where they need to go. And this is what it is. This episode is a video game. It's just turned into a video game. So after the whole encounter, they go to the first plant, and you see in this scene, a couple of scenes, it's funny that Horo and Lyserk are the only ones who are pushing the Iron Maiden around and also taking her down, and I'm like, John, like, make it easier for everybody in your group and just not be inside the Iron Maiden, just walk like everybody else. I don't know. It's just something that I'm sure everybody just pointed that out. It's just like, why are you in the Iron Maiden? Just walk, because poor Horo and Lyserk is just pushing the damn thing all the way to. They're gonna push it all the way to the altar. That's for sure. But then again, Horo has a crush on John, and Lyserk is still, even though he's now no longer part of the X-Laws, he still feels not indebted to her, but just like he's been with them for how long exactly? So I mean, I would have done the same thing. So they reach the first plant, and it's a desert plant. So each member of the patch have their own plant, and they have their own environment, like fire, like forest, sea, valley, desert, whatever it is, they have their own dominion. And so Namari is ruler of the desert plant, and so they have a brief moment, and he attacks Ren. Unfortunately, their elemental powers don't work in the desert. Like, Horo cannot conjure ice because there's no water, and lightning. They can't produce that here in the desert. So they're pretty much defenseless. And then we have Ryu, who ends up jumping in, and he decided that he needs to confront Namari because he has unfinished business with him. And then we get to see his new armored oversoul called the sashimi knife of San Sanoro. Yeah, I know. And he ends up destroying the Cobra with it, but it's an oversoul, so it returns. So as impressive as he is with his new armor oversoul, he tries to go after him. Unfortunately, Namari gets the upper hand, but Ryu holds his own, but unfortunately it was not enough to defeat him. And so Namari asks, okay, Ryu's dead, who's next? And Yoh's like, okay, Ren and Horo, go and take him out. and luckily, due to the power of science, they managed to defeat Namori. How, you may ask? Since Horo Horo has no way to, there's no water in the desert, and Ran cannot conjure up any lightning. Through the power of science, Horo Horo dug underneath the sand and he found water and he turned it into a block of ice. He ends up breaking it and Ren uses the broken glass to create the lightning. Water conducts electricity, and he ends up, shocking Namori to the point of death. And yeah, through the power of science, Horo and Ren defeated Namori. And here's the part where I find it to be very cool of Ren. Ren gives respect to Ryu because he was the one who showed the way of defeating Namori. And in the beginning of the last episode, Ren is like, you can't do anything. You're weak. You're useless. I mean, you'd be in the way. We cannot spare any furyoku on resurrecting you. We have to save it for, like people like him, Horo, Yoh, Lyzerg, because this is turning out to be a video game, guys. This is turning out to be a video game. But Ryu earned Ren's respect right there. So I find it to be very cool on that part, even though Ren can be really brutal and blunt, but Ren is Ren. Ren is Ren. So the door opens, leading into the next road, into the next plant. Meanwhile, back at Patch Island, this is the funniest clip right here. Anna has Manta's father tied up, and it looked like like a dog on a leash, and you can see it right here. You can see it right here. So we know that Manta's dad has survived, or maybe he died indeed and was resurrected. Either way, we see him there. Also, the Voodoo Witch and the last member of the X-Laws, I guess, was resurrected as well. And they end up getting married because you see him offering him like a nut as for a ring. And then we get to see the father who wants to talk to Manta alone. So in the next episode, I wonder how this conversation is gonna go. I wonder. And then, at this point, all the members that were considered to be good and evil, allies and enemies, no longer exist anymore, because Anna and the twin brother comes out. They meet Miki Hiza and Lego Man, and he is like, wait a minute, why are you fishing with the enemy? What are you doing? And Lego Man just pointed out, like, there's no point. How is Shaman King? I mean, there's no reason for us to fight anymore. And even though they know about Yoh trying to stop the whole ritual, even he pointed out that even if we know this plan, there's nothing we can do. There's no point, and you see them fishing. That was cool. They were fishing, and then we get to see all the people that died except for Team Flower, because we saw Team Flower at Anna's house, so it doesn't make sense like for them to be resurrected if we just saw them there. Unless I missed something, guys. In the comments down below, did Team Flower die, or or they were like their real bodies were like they were alive all along? Because I saw the beach, with corpses, and you see bodies of Team Flower, and wait a minute, why are you there when we just saw you crying at Anna's house? That's the part I don't understand. But alright, whatever. So all the followers of How were resurrected except for maybe 2 people. So they're alive, and yeah, we move on from there. Now we head to the Valley plant where Bron resides, and already Horo and Ren are beaten already, and then the rest of the Yoh Yohs gets captured by Bron's webbings, and it looked like they were about to fall, but Choco Love ends up using the Michipachu Oversoul to at least try to levitate, but Lizer came in and saves them and tells Choco Love that we cannot waste furyoku right now. We cannot afford to, especially when we just heading into the second round. But before that, I know I jumped ahead. Ren comes in, tries to pull a sneak attack, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And then, like I said before, Chocolate uses his Oversoul, but Lizer comes in and says, don't waste furyoku, and relax a little bit. So Lizer saves them from falling, and then Bron and Lizer have this talk, and we discovered that Bron was the one that gave Lizer his Oracle Bell. So he was, the one that tested Lizer, and just points out that I know how you battle, and you have not changed at all. And tells that it appears that you're walking on air, but it's not the case. You are walking in a web. And Bron is like, don't show off. I'm more powerful than you. So, yeah, you're gonna have a tough time defeating me. And so he points out Ren is dead, and then he kills off Horo. So that means that they're gonna have to use more furyoku to bring him back. Again, this is a video game. And then we get to see how Bron and the other members of the patch gain their power through this song called the Patch Song. And if you hear it, it's ominous, it's creepy, and the lyrics themselves is like, ugh, it's pretty dark. And can you imagine just putting it on, like, just listening to it at home in the middle of the night and just like, what the hell is it? But it's very hypnotic, I tell you that. I tell you that much. But not only through that song they gain power, but now we know what Bron did and his partner did to Silva. They used that song over and over again until it was successful. They broke Silva, and that's how he got brainwashed, and that's what happened there. And of course, it'll be up to Yoh to break that hypnosis. And yeah, we will see that soon. And then after the whole discovery, Lyserg said that, okay, I know your moves, and I've changed too, and I will do whatever it takes to defeat you. And we get to see him with his new armored oversoul, and from the very last scene, Lyserg burns Bron up. So we don't know for sure if he is dead in the next episode or he's still kicking. So that remains to be seen. But that's the end of the episode, guys. So in recap, like I said, it just turns into this Elite Four thing, because you have to go through every member and then hopefully make it to the altar of the king with everybody still alive and with furyoku left. The problem is that's not going to happen, because you already used your resurrecting technique on Ryu. You're going to have to use it again for Horo and Ren. Right now, they're not in a good start, because by the end, I'm sure he will be in full Shaman King mode, and there's no way in hell the Yoh Yohs will defeat him, because by the time they reach the altar, their furyoku will be spent. Let's face it, and even then, I'm sure maybe Yoh or all the members of the 5 elemental warriors will be the ones standing, but still, I feel like Yoh will be the last man standing, and then he will witness, the birth of Shaman King Hao. Hence, why is he wearing a dress with a... Yeah, so there's no reason for the opening credits to have Hao in a dress with a crown on his head. It just, yeah. When I saw the opening of that, I was like, why is Hao wearing a dress? I don't know. Anyways, so this episode is like the Elite Four heading towards the champion and all that stuff. So this is, yeah. Now I'm starting to ramble. Okay, so have you seen the episode? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And if you dislike it, what can you change? Like, what is it that it needs to change to make it better? Okay. And give a like if you like it. Give a dislike if you don't. I don't care. Please subscribe. And, do the thing. Do the thing. And also, I almost forget, did I miss anything? Because I need to make sure I got everything. I need to make sure of that too. Alright, guys. I'll see you all on the other side of oblivion. Johnny!